Hi, good morning, boys and girls. So it's kind of a cloudy day out today, but we are in January and we're starting a new unit this week around the world. And we're going to work on some standards in literature 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, which I know might not mean a lot to you, but there are some things that we're going to work on in language arts. So I need you to pull out this packet here that starts with not potato chips. And you can pause the video anytime. Today we're going to read not potato chips. And then we're going to flip and read Joe and the Dolly. Read this passage. And then next would be the questions we're going to complete together. So you can pause the video while you read the passages. And then when you come back, I'm going to read them to you. Not potato chips. There is a place where moms are not called moms. In this place, potato chips are not potato chips. Boots are not always boots. Bonnets are not always bonnets. What kind of place is this? How could a mom not be called a mom? How could a potato chip not be a potato chip? How could a boot not be a boot? How could a bonnet not be a bonnet? England is a country. People in England speak English. In England, some words have different meanings. The words mean different things than they do in the United States. In England, children do not call their mothers mom. They do not call them mommy. English children call their moms mum or mummy. Potato chips are not called potato chips. What are they called? Potato chips are called crisps. Chips are French fries. Children do not call a car trunk a car trunk. What do they call it? They call it a boot. What do they call a car hood? They call it a bonnet. And here you see mom, mum, potato chip, crisps, French fries, chips, car trunk, boot, car hood, bonnet. So there are some different words that children and people in England may call things different than we do here in the United States. That was kind of interesting. On the back, we have Joe and the Dolly. And again, our author gave us a nice picture here that we can look at while we're reading, that will also give us some clues if you struggle with some of the words in the passage. Joe was moving all day, had packed boxes. Joe had taken his clothes. Joe had taken his toys. Joe had taken his books. Joe had packed his clothes, toys, and books into boxes. Now it was time to carry the boxes to the truck. How could Joe move the boxes? The boxes were too heavy for Joe to carry by himself. Joe's mother said, "Joe, your uncle is here. Your uncle is helping us move. Go tell your uncle to bring his dolly. Tell your uncle we need his dolly now." And I'm looking at these two pictures. I know this must be Joe, and he's thinking his dolly. Joe was very surprised. How could a doll help move heavy boxes? Still, Joe did what his mother said. He told his uncle, "Bring your dolly. We need your dolly now." When Joe's uncle brought his dolly, Joe understood. A dolly is a doll, but a dolly is also a kind of a cart. This cart has wheels. The cart is for moving heavy things. The word dolly has more than one meaning. So sometimes words can have more than one meaning. Okay, let's look at page 30. Show what you know. And you're going to need your pencil and highlighter. If you need to pause, that's fine. In England, a car trunk is called, let's go back to the passage here. Our choices: a boot, a mummy, a dolly, a bonnet. When we go back in the passage, I want you to find, what do they call the car trunk in England. It's near the end. I found it right here near the end. Children do not call a car trunk a car trunk. What do they call it? They call it a boot. So I'm going to highlight a boot. Okay. Number 2. Joe did not pack toys, chips, books, clothes. Okay, so we need to go back in the passage. And if you need to rip pages apart and it helps to have them side by side, that's fine. Just don't lose any pages you might need for another day. So it says, Joe did not pack. Well, it said he had books, clothes, and toys. Okay, I see that here. He had his clothes, his toys, and his books. So when I look back at the question, I definitely don't see anything about chips. That was in the first passage that we read. So I selected chips. Question 3, what do both stories have in common? Do you know what in common means? In common would mean that they were the same. So what was the same in both stories? The name for carts, what mothers say, moving to a new country, or words that have more than one meaning. I want you to pick your answer and see if you came up with the same answer that I did. Words that have more than one meaning. In our first passage, we talked about words in England and their meanings are different from words here in the United States. And then in our second passage, it was Joe and his uncle and the 2 different meanings of the word dolly. Number 4, a fact is true. A fact is not made up. Which sentence is a fact and not just part of the story? A, Joe is moving. B, a dolly is a kind of cart. C, Joe's uncle brought his dolly. D, carts are called crisps in England. So fact, meaning it's true. Was Joe moving? Yes or no? Yes, Joe was moving. So I know that's true. That can't be the answer. I'm going to cross that out. A dolly is a kind of cart. Can a dolly be a cart? Yes, a dolly can be a cart, so I know that can't be the answer. So again, I'm going to cross it out because I know that's a great strategy to help me if I'm not sure on a question that might be a little more difficult. Joe's uncle brought his dolly. Did Joe's uncle bring his dolly to help him move? Yes, he did. Which leaves me with D, carts are called crisps in England. That's not true. It's my last answer, so I know that it probably is going to be the correct answer, but I also know when I go back, in England, crisps, right here, are potato chips. They're not carts. So the answer would be D. Number 5, if a child calls his or her mother mummy, the child most likely is moving, needs a dolly, lives in England, does not speak English. What do you think? I picked C, lives in England, because I know from reading the passage that mum meant mummy. And that's what they call their moms there. So you're going to flip over to page 31. We've done this before, where it says practice your handwriting. Pick a word from one of the stories to write on the line below. And you're going to do that in your very best handwriting. So you can pick any word that you want, just one word, doesn't have to be a sentence, and you're going to write it in your best handwriting. I picked crisps. For number 7, write the matching word in the box. What do they say in England? What do they say in the United States? So you're going to want to pause the video, or if you would like to rip off the front page to put it next to your chart, that might be helpful. And if I'm going too fast, you can pause the video at any time. And you can go back and forth to look. So I flipped back and forth to fill in the chart. Number 8, for each group, write 1 or 2 to show what happened first. Joe moved his boxes. Joe packed his boxes. What would you do first? Would you pack or would you move? If you said pack, you'd be correct. So I'm going to put a 1 there. After I pack, then I move. Joe knew that a dolly was a doll. Joe knew that a dolly was a type of cart. What did Joe know first? Thinking back in the passage, in the beginning, Joe didn't know that a dolly was a cart. He was thinking his uncle was going to get a baby doll. So I'm going to put a 1 there. And I'll put my 2 there because it wasn't until he saw his uncle with the moving cart that he understood. Write 1 or more sentences that tell what each story is about. Not Potato Chips is about, and you're going to fill that in and end with a period. Joe and the Dolly is about, go ahead, fill that in, end with a period. So you might say, Not Potato Chips is about how people in England use other words than we do in the USA. Joe and the Dolly is about a boy that learns 2 meanings of the word dolly. Or you could come up with your own answer and share with someone at home. And for number 10, think about words with different meanings. If someone asks you to bring a dolly, what question might you ask them first? Go ahead and fill that in and share with someone at home. And I hope you all have a great day today and you enjoyed learning about new meanings of words.